Let's say I wake up tomorrow and everything's gone. No credit cards, no laptop, no camera, no gear, just a backpack, a passport, and $1,000 cash in hand. Already in Asia. What would I do? It's not a fantasy. Not really. A lot of travelers, especially long term ones, end up asking themselves versions of this question. Some lose everything in a bag theft or a fire. Some arrive with plans that fall apart. Others just want to reset and start fresh. But $1,000 doesn't go very far in most places in the world. Even in Asia, it can disappear fast unless you play it right. The first thing I do is find a place to stop moving. Mobility burns your money. Planes, ferries, buses, taxis, it adds up quick. So I'd pick one place, plant myself there for at least 30 days, and slow the burn rate way down. But not just anywhere. I'd be looking for somewhere cheap, friendly, walkable, and warm. Somewhere I don't need to rent a scooter or take a tuk-tuk every single time that I need to get food. That probably means a random city in Indonesia, Vietnam, or Cambodia. Somewhere with low rent and low temptation. Cities are too stimulating and tourist towns are too expensive. I'd be aiming for quiet. I want wet markets, street food, some nature, and maybe a few other long stay foreigners I can learn a thing or two from. Let's say I land in a place like Kampot, Cambodia, for example. It's small, it's mellow, and it's surrounded by nature. You can still rent a decent room or studio for $100 to $150 a month, worst case scenario. Not beachfront, not luxury, but clean, safe, and with a fan and a bathroom. That's all I need in this situation. Once I have a base, the pressure drops immediately. The next step is locking in the basics. For food, I wouldn't cook in this situation. There's no kitchen in a $100 rental a majority of the time, and I wouldn't need one. I'd eat like locals, eat rice, noodles, soups, eggs, fruit, and iced coffee, and tea. No beer, no smoothies, no Western restaurants. Just local spots with prices in the local language. If I keep meals around $1 to $2 a day, skip the extras, I can survive on $3 to $5 total for food a day. That sounds tight when you're not moving and not trying to do anything touristy. It's enough. My days would be simple. First, I'd walk to the market in the morning, maybe find a cheap place to eat with Wi-Fi, and then spend my afternoon reading or writing. If there's a library or even a decent cafe that doesn't mind, that's my office. Most people underestimate how far $1,000 can stretch. When you remove stress and noise, no chasing visas, no FOMO, no Instagram spots to check off, just a quiet routine. And that kind of quiet lets you think about what comes next. Because $1,000 isn't just survival money, it's seed money. And after a week or two of getting grounded, I'd be thinking about my next move. I don't mean some get rich quick scheme, I mean something sustainable here, something I can build on even without too much gear. That might start with messaging everyone I know, friends, former clients, random connections I've made. I'd tell them the truth. I'm abroad and I'm looking for some sort of remote work. Anything you need done, writing, editing, admin, research, I'm available anytime. Most people I know wouldn't do this because it feels like you're begging, but it's not. It's honest. And when you're straightforward, people remember you. I've seen it happen. One message turns into a small gig. A small gig leads to a few bucks. A few bucks buys you another week or two. If nothing comes through, I'd go analog. There's always someone running a guest house who needs help with English listings or social media. Or there's a hostel that needs volunteers in exchange for room and board, for a bed. In Southeast Asia, if you speak decent English, have a good attitude, and ask around, you can usually find a way to trade time for value, even if it's just a couple free meals a day. It's a massive boost when your budget's shrinking. I wouldn't rush to monetize everything. The worst thing you can do with $1,000 is panic and try to flip it overnight. That leads to desperation, quick. Trading, crypto, buying dropshipping courses, applying to every $5 gig on Fiverr. Instead, I'd lean into patience. I'd treat every day as a creative challenge. How can I stretch this further without breaking myself? Answer is almost always in your habits. Stop buying drinks, stop chasing entertainment, find pleasure in the mundane. Even laundry becomes a routine in this life. I'd wash clothes in the sink, dry them on a line. It takes 20 minutes and it costs nothing. This all sounds extreme, but it's actually kind of peaceful when you lean into it. You start to realize how little you actually need out of life. With that mindset, $1,000 lasts a lot longer than you'd think. Here's a basic sketch. $120 for rent, $150 for food, $30 for sim and a few extras, $20 for toiletries and basic supplies. That's $320. I've got $680 left. That's nearly 2 more months of living, and maybe longer if I find a few small gigs or trade time for value. The goal isn't just to survive here. It's to buy myself time to think clearly, time to connect, time to rebuild. And if you can do that without distractions, you might end up better than before. That kind of reset teaches you things you can't learn in your normal 9 to 5. It's humbling, yes, but I also find it freeing, because when you realize you can survive with almost nothing, you stop being afraid of starting over. I'm not saying everyone should go out and live like this. It's not fun, it's not comfortable, but it's possible is my point. And knowing it's possible changes the way you think about money, travel, and risk. It makes you more resilient, and you stop needing the perfect job, the perfect gear, the perfect plan, the perfect place to stay. You just need enough to get by and enough curiosity to make the most of it. And honestly, some of the most meaningful moments I've had abroad came when I had the least. Sharing fruit with a local family, watching stray dogs nap in the sun, sitting by the river doing basically nothing. When you're not trying to do 100 things a day, life slows down enough that you can actually feel it. Eventually you find your way forward. A client hires you, a friend wires a few $100 for some work you did online. Someone recommends you for something. You're not rich, but the fire's out, and now you have breathing room. That's the real purpose of the $1,000. Not to live like that forever, but to buy yourself a calm, clear starting point, one that doesn't depend on luck, luxury, or a giant safety net. Just a resourcefulness and patience. The wild part is I've met people actually living like this long term. Backpackers who never went home, expats who stayed after a teaching job ended, travelers who got stuck and decided to just stay stuck because they liked the simplicity. Some sleep in dorms, others house sit, a few do seasonal work at hostels. They live slow and cheap, and they're not miserable. They're often more content than digital nomads making 5 to 10 times as much money. That's not to glorify poverty, but there's a massive difference between being broke and being poor in spirit. If you're willing to be adaptable, generous, and humble, you can thrive in ways that money alone can't buy. You're not living like a tourist. You're living like a neighbor. If things go well, I'd take the remaining few $100 and invest in one tool to make money long term. Maybe it's a secondhand phone to work better online, or a cheap laptop from some sort of pawn shop, a ticket to a bigger city with more opportunities available. I wouldn't rush it, but I'd be ready, because the game plan isn't just survive on nothing. It's use this time to build something, and you don't need much to begin. You just need to protect your time, stretch your money, and keep showing up even when things feel stuck. So if I had to start over with just $1,000 and a backpack in Asia, I'd find a cheap, quiet town, rent a small room, eat like locals eat, ask for help when I need it, and I would rebuild slowly from the ground up, one meal, one message, one day at a time. Because once you realize you don't need much to survive, you stop waiting for the perfect conditions and you start. If you're like me, living abroad kind of forces you to see the world differently. You start to realize where you get information really matters. That's why I've been using Ground News. It's a news app that lets you compare how stories are covered across the political spectrum, left, center, and right. So you can spot media biases and decide for yourself what is really going on. It's helped me stay informed without getting sucked into one-sided narratives, and I think it's a great tool. Check it out at the link in the description and pinned comment below. By using that link, you're also supporting the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.